All right, welcome in to Purple Daily. Phil Mackey, Judd Zolgad, Declan Goff producing here today, and today's episode is all about rankings. We love rankings on this show.
Hell yeah.
Football Talk.
Love rankings.
PFT has ranked the Vikings 13th in their preseason 1 through 32 list of teams.
Where's
here.
the Rick laugh? Like, it seems to me that would be followed by the Rick laugh.
There we go.
And my first thought was, that seems a little low, doesn't it? I mean, the Vikings have been a playoff team or borderline they've been very competitive. Let's go through this real quick and see if we think this is fair, unfair. What are our thoughts here? All right. Number one, not a shock, Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City Chiefs are the Vegas favorite to win the Super Bowl again. They've got the best quarterback in the world. They've got one of the best coaches in the world. They've got all the ingredients to make a run at back-to-back championships. No disagreements there. Mm-hmm. San Francisco 49ers, number two. Kyle Shanahan, maybe get to that next level to actually win a Super Bowl. Ravens, number three. Patriots, 4 on this list now that they've signed Cam Newton.
That's the first one that slows me down bit. The Patriots. Now I get it. Belichick's still there. Cam has signed, and Cam could be good. We don't know yet. But I think the first 3 that you read, Phil Mackey, are very fair. Like, I'm not going to debate them. That's fine. The Patriots one is where I start to get into... Really?
The Patriots ranked number 4 is a theory. It's just it's a theory on
it's respect.
If Bill Belichick and Cam Newton can mesh, and if Cam Newton can stay healthy and he's motivated,
but it's
and everything,
respect, right? Like it's saying until we have a season full of Brady made Bill or Bill made Tom.
Yeah.
Like if everyone's sort of bailing and being like, well, they're both still really good.
There's just a lot. Like I think putting the Patriots 4 is definitely giving them 20 years benefit of the doubt in Bill Belichick. It feels like if it were me putting together this list, I would put them lower and make them earn it, but maybe they have earned it over the last 20 years. The Saints are 5th on the list. Buccaneers 6th because, I don't know, they just landed Tom Bleeping Brady and Rob Gronkowski.
But like, is Tom still great? Is Tom still that great? Yeah. I feel like we are in for a year of people chickening out and being like, Patriots and the Bucs. I mean, they both got one of the good guys, right? Of the successful guys. I think that you need more guts here.
What do you mean?
In the prediction business here, in the rankings, I think that you need more intestinal fortitude to drop the Patriots or Bucs or potentially both, but certainly one of them out of the top 10.
I feel much more confident in what the Buccaneers have on paper than what the Patriots have on paper.
I agree with you.
I think that's right.
And so I would put the Buccaneers
But if
higher.
Declan's right and Brady is completely cooked, then this is all going to fall apart.
Yep.
Seahawks 7, Titans 8, Bills 9. Now that they have Stephon Diggs paired up with Josh Allen, they were very formidable last year. They just added a big offensive weapon.
Defense is good, yeah.
Yep. Eagles 10, Steelers 11, Cowboys 12, and then we get to the Vikings 13, just ahead of the Packers at 14. Broncos, Colts, Texans, just for fun, the bottom 4 or 5 of Washington's 32, Jaguars 31, Panthers 30 with Teddy. Giants 29, Bengals 28. So are there any teams ahead of the Vikings in these rankings? So Cowboys, Steelers, Eagles, Bills, Titans, Seahawks, Bucks, Saints, Patriots, etc. Are there any teams ahead of the Vikings that you immediately think to yourself, oh my gosh, the Vikings for sure have to be above blank team?
Yes, I would say probably Pittsburgh right now.
Okay.
Because I don't know. Is Big Ben still good? I have no clue. He's been hurt quite a bit.
Yeah.
The Steelers are weird because they're always sort of teetering on that edge of, are they going to be bad finally? So I would say that if I was to redo this, I think the Vikings are about fair too. Like I am not up in arms. How can they not be top 5? All right. But I think if I was to go through the teams that are ahead of the Vikings in these PFT rankings, I question the Patriots big time. I think 4 is way too high. I'd put them about 15 and then have them prove to me that they're not.
Yeah.
The Saints is fair. The Bucks is fair. The Seahawks are fair. The Titans, I'm curious about. I could see the Titans regressing.
Yeah, they have a lot.
Tannehill, is he that good really, or was that a really good year for Tannehill?
The Titans have a lot of chips on the tables of a running back, like a traditional running back, and Ryan Tannehill to be 8th on this list.
Yeah. The Bills quarterback scares me, but I think the Bills are good. So I think the Bills at 9 is probably fair, and the QB thing could go down the tubes completely, but I think the Bills at 9 or 10 is fair. Philly, I think, is probably fair. I think the Cowboys, if I was going to put a team in this top 10 that's not, I think Dallas. Because if Dallas does this right now with Dak and Zeke and that team, I think the Cowboys could easily be like 7 or 8
the Cowboys,
on this list.
Listen, the Cowboys, we went over this in our Tail of the Tape episode a couple weeks ago. The Cowboys last year, despite being 8-8, they mathematically, this is almost impossible. The average score of a Cowboys game was Cowboys 27, opponent 20 last year. And they finished 8-8.
Thank you, Jason Garrett.
It's like, how is that possible?
Thank you, Jason Garrett. So I'm going to take the Patriots and the Titans and say that I have big questions right now if they are truly a better teams than the Vikings.
Dex, what about you? So Vikings are 13th. How many teams ahead of the Vikings are you like, come on, the Vikings are ahead of that team?
I think the Titans and Bills are just both bound for regression. The Bills are a better team than the Titans for sure. But that quarterback, man, I think Josh Allen's really going to cost them multiple games this season. I mean, maybe he takes a step up with a guy like Diggs in the fold, but I just need to see it. So I think Titans are going to regress a little bit. Ryan Tannehill played out of his mind for 8-9 games last year. I don't think that's going to happen. And as you said, too, with Derrick Henry being a traditional bell cow running back, that's a lot of chips on the table on two guys who aren't really formidable in 2020, in my opinion. The Eagles, I would probably put right next to the Vikings. I think 3 spots ahead is a little bit too bullish on Philadelphia, but I trust them that they could go 10-6 more than I trust the Titans or Bills to go 10-6 and possibly be a threat in the playoffs. But just looking at where the Vikings are next to Cowboys, Packers, Steelers, I think that's probably pretty accurate. The teams that even on this list that I'm surprised are so low are probably the Texans and the Cardinals are 2 teams that I think have more potential to them being way too low at 17 and 20.
It
Become the Cardinals, boys.
Yeah, Cardinals and Texans kind of in a similar spot where you've got these star young quarterbacks and you're just kind of waiting for what are the weapons?
Yeah.
Do you trust the coach? Bill O'Brien's been around for 7 years and it's still I don't know, can he coach? He clearly can't keep relationships with the top wide receiver weapon and the terrible trade they pulled off.
True.
One note before I answer the question on the Eagles. The Eagles get a ton of flack because they've just kind of been meh since they went and won the Super Bowl. But Carson Wentz, that team went 9-7 and made the playoffs. And Carson Wentz had pretty big season by most measurements. And their receivers were absolute garbage. So Zach Ertz
nobody
is
left.
awesome.
0.
I mean, it is literally when you rank the Eagles reception leaders last year, you have to get 4th on the list before you find the first wide receiver. So 2 tight ends and a running back. Miles Sanders caught more passes than any wide receiver on that roster. Alshon Jeffrey caught 43. Nelson Aguilar caught 39. Greg Ward caught 28. And someone named, is Boston Scott a running back? I have no idea. Caught 24 passes. No one's ever heard of any of these guys.
Yes.
Right.
And they still went 9-7, and Carson Wentz threw for 4,000 yards. That's an interesting team.
The 2 games that I saw the Vikings play last year, where I will tell you right now, I was offended by the opponent. They took a decent team and completely put on as crappy of game plan as possible. Cowboys in Dallas, right? Garrett had a terrible game, awful game. But the game here, Philadelphia and the Vikings, and Jim Schwartz's game plan, I swear to God, I have no idea. Their ideas of what they were going to do after watching film of the Vikings were as inept and stupid and off the charts. I mean, their secondary was banged up, and they basically gave it no help. It was incredibly dumb.
Yeah.
If Philadelphia had come here, I'm telling you, with a coherent game plan, like a halfway decent, this is how we can win this football game and take it seriously, I think they win that game. Those 2 teams put on game plans that I think gave their players almost no chance to win.
I think injuries.
Carson Wentz is good, I think.
I agree, but I think injuries were probably the thing that derailed the Eagles more than anything last year. So the Eagles on paper, you'd say, wait a second, the Eagles are 10th, the Vikings are 13th. Really? But the Eagles with a healthy roster and better receivers and just a little bit better luck in 2020. The 4 teams I wrote down that I think the Vikings you can make a case they should leapfrog. Patriots. I get that the Patriots have championships and pedigree and Bill Belichick, but I need to see it. I need to see the Cam Newton thing. I need to see it. Titans, I think people are way too high on the Titans. Let's make Ryan Tannehill prove it 2 years in a row, and if that happens, we can all eat our words and shut up. Buffalo Bills, same thing. I know that Stephon Diggs is amazing. We know more than anyone in like Vikings fans, people who've watched him. Like the Bills got one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, but Josh Allen was more nervous and incompetent in that playoff game last year than any quarterback I can remember. Like outside of his panicked 10-yard runs for first downs every once in a while, that dude was a disaster.
Yeah.
And then I put the Steelers on this list too, just because of the unknown factor. Just kind of feels like it might be the end of an era there, and they've lost a lot of weapons, and Ben Roethlisberger has been banged up and hasn't played. What do you guys think of the Packers being 14th here, coming off a big season?
13 wins, right? And it's like, yeah, I don't know. Here's the weird thing. I think it's fair.
Yeah.
I think it's very fair because I'm telling you right now, if you go through the history of 13-win teams in this league, I honestly think that the 2019 Packers are one of the most underwhelming. They were 13. Like if I was to sit down and watch their games, no scoreboard, right? And just like watch them play games. I don't think I ever would have come away saying that was a magical, because I think of 13 wins or 14 as magical, right? Like something special happened and you caught lightning in a bottle, or you were just a damn good team. I never, ever thought that about the 2019 Packers. Never once. I think that this place 14th is probably incredibly fair.
It kind of reminds me of that season. Remember when they were mediocre toward the end of Brett Favre's run, and they just magically popped up and went 13-3 in like 2007?
The Giants,
Yeah,
it was where they got beat. It was negative 100 degrees.
Tom Coughlin still,
his cheeks are still frostbitten a decade and a half later.
Unthawing.
Where it's like, it's they're 13-3, but
But it didn't feel like it, right?
Yeah, that's the Packers in a nutshell. So, and then some other teams in here, like the Falcons 19th, Browns are 18th. People put the Browns like, oh, they're going to be they're finally going to do it.
How often have we done that?
Browns,
let's just stop.
The Browns, they have to prove it before they receive any accolades from this point
forward. You
fired
another coach, and Stefanski might be good, but we have no clue.
How about the Rams being 23rd? If it plays out this way and the Rams are like a 6-10 team,
that's probably too low.
Is Sean McVay's job in jeopardy?
I was saying.
I'll take him if it is.
Yep. Give him to me.
I'll take him. I'll take him.
That'll be great.
But the Rams at 23 to me, I think is too low. Don't you guys?
That's a really hard division, though.
It is.
Like who would you for sure put? Like you said, the Cardinals are going to finish last, but I don't know. The Cardinals feel like they might make a run toward 500. Is it possible the Rams could go 6-10 with a tough schedule, tough division?
Oh man, I don't know about that.
Football is weird because you're on top, and then 2 years later, your roster is old, a coordinator's gone or something, and everything's different. And that's kind of what's happened to the Rams. As they write here on Pro Football Talk, Todd Gurley gone, Brandon Cooks gone, Wade Phillips gone. Yep. Like a lot of the things that went into the Super Bowl stew.
My pop-up team, surprise team, Carolina.
Yeah, that's correct.
I think Carolina might be good.
They've got Carolina 30th on this list.
I know they do, but I think that they might be good. I loved the fact that I believe they used the entire draft, I think, on defense.
And they're about to find out what Teddy Bridgewater can do.
Well, and let's just say Teddy brings the right Teddy juice to the locker room. Guys love Teddy.
It's going to be a very different. I would not be
surprised if they pop up.
Like they're getting essentially a polar opposite quarterback. When you go from Cam Newton to Teddy Bridgewater, you're getting pass first instead of run. I wouldn't say Cam Newton is run first, but you're definitely getting like pass centric.
Just think about demeanors.
You're getting different personalities, different leadership styles. I do think people are too hard on Cam Newton as like a bad leader. I don't think he's a bad leader.
No, but
like
Teddy's
some people
a great
say.
leader.
But he's kind of a volatile personality that can ride the roller coaster. And
Teddy is consistency, right?
Yes.
Like as a person, he's probably as consistent as it gets. And I think that that's good, especially because this is probably going to be a young team that's going to have some struggles. But I would not be surprised if they don't get off to a great start and then turn things around very quickly.
Yeah. Real quick, because I forgot to read this. The write-up for the Vikings being 13th, according to Pro Football Talk. It's a strange crossroads for a team that is sort of rebuilding and sort of reloading and sort of in the last couple of chances before a full reset.
That's Florio.
To deliver a Super Bowl.
He hates the Vikings because he loves them.
But this is this is so accurate. They're sort of like there's three streets that are crossing. They're definitely rebuilding to some extent with 15 rookies, and they got rid of some of their aging defensive players.
Yep.
But they're also kind of reloading because they still have Kirk Cousins in his prime and Harrison Smith and Daniel Hunter.
And Thielen, they've got some parts, definitely.
But then they're also, like, their head coach has been around now, Mike Zimmer, for 6-7 years, and he's getting older. So they're when he writes, they're in the last couple of chances before a full reset to deliver a Super Bowl, which the franchise has been waiting for a half century and counting. Right. That's also how it feels. It doesn't feel like, oh, this is your coach for 10 years. It feels like everything is kind of coming to a head in 2020, but they might not be ready to win a Super Bowl either.
The roster construction, for the most part, not totally, but don't you think that for the most part, the Vikings roster construction for 2020 is correct?
Yes.
Like I like bringing in young players. I mean, I will always go back to my dumbest take of all time was 2009 into 10 saying, everybody's back. This is going to be great. It don't work that way in football. If you run in most sports, run things back, it's great.
Yep.
But in football, it's the one sport where if you're like, the left end's back and the right end's back and everybody's back, guess what happens? Age takes control and it becomes a problem. So I actually think, for the most part, the roster construction of what the Vikings are doing totally is probably the right way to reload quickly and then possibly a year or two from now try and take off again.
Yeah, it is.
I don't object to this.
I'm with you on that one. I just think, like, in general, making the average age of your roster younger is a plus.
Yes.
Just a little more speed, just a little bit more ability to bounce back from injury.
And you want to cut things off before guys go off that cliff.
Yep.
I mean, Rhodes is the perfect example of what you don't want.
We saw him go off the cliff for sure.
No, but we don't need that. But the point is, the Belichick thing that he's been so good at is taking guys who he probably dearly loves and pushing them out the door a year before most fans would.
And I think he really enjoys doing that, actually.
Well, that's
I think
great.
That's one of his favorite things.
But think about it. If you had looked at Rhodes in 2018, right? Like, think about this. If you had looked at Xavier Rhodes' play in 18, which, by the way, was going down. It was not off the cliff, but it was going down. And you had said, it's time.
Well, could you have gotten a first-round pick for him?
No, I don't think so, but I don't care. But the point is, 2019 was awful to watch. Like, that was painful.
Yeah. A year too early is your best friend in the NFL, but it's hard because you know that there's fan sentiment, and there's even like sentiment with, if Mike Zimmer had an attachment to Xavier Rhodes, even if Rick Spielman had said, hey, listen, I know that you love him and you essentially like helped craft this amazing cover corner that might be in the Vikings Hall of Fame someday, but he's going to fall off a cliff in the next couple of years, and I'd rather get a second-round pick now than have to cut him for nothing later. Yeah. Those are hard decisions to make. So, but the Vikings made some of them, like Linval Joseph. Sorry, dude.
Yes.
Peace out.
Yes, they did.
And there'll be more decisions to make too. So, all right. Well, the Vikings are 13th according to Pro Football Talk. If you think that's disrespectful, if you think they should be higher, or if you think that's too high, drop us a line in the comment section on our YouTube page, youtube.com/ScoreNorth, where you can find daily Vikings videos. And also, it helps spread the word about this show, Purple Daily, to fellow Vikings fans, and helps us grow the show as we go into, fingers crossed, training camp and hopefully a 2020 season. If you give us a 5-star rating and a positive review on Apple or anywhere else you can give love to the show via podcast. We'll see you next time on Purple Daily.